In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 5 front-end hacks that you can add to your Home Assistant. Check it out. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. I've got a nice and straightforward video for you today, and by the end of it you should hope to be able to make use of some of these custom front-end changes that I'm going to show you now. So with that said, let's get on with it. So what do we mean by front-end hacks? When I say front-end hacks, I am of course referring to the Home Assistant Community Store front end. This is the place where you can go to download themes, custom cards, elements and other bits for your dashboards. If you've got no clue what hacks is or how you go about installing it, I've done a handy video a little while ago which shows you all the steps you'll need to get hacks set up. So go ahead and install that and then pop back here. You'll then be able to follow along and add these bits to your front end. And if you've already got hacks installed, the only thing you're going to need to do, if you're not already, is hit that subscribe button and ding dong that notification bell. You'll then be alerted to any future videos that I do. And as always, this video will be chaptered, so if there's a specific point that I'm talking about and you want to hear it again or something you want to skip over, be sure to make use of the chapters in the description below. Along with that, there's a link to my Git where you can go to check out all the code that I'm going to be making use of in this video. On with the install then. So first up, we've got the mini graph card. To find this, we're just going to need to open hacks on our Home Assistant. We're then going to choose front end. From here, we're then just going to click on the blue plus button. In my demo here, I can actually see the mini graph card right at the top here, so I could just click it there. If in yours it's not there, you can use the search box right at the top here and just do a search for mini graph card. So a big shout out to Kalki for this awesome card, and I'm sorry if I just butchered your name there. And what the mini graph card allows us to do is to make use of minimalistic and customizable graphs. These graphs can display sensor and binary sensor information from our Home Assistant. So they're just nice customizable graphs that we can make use of on our dashboards. And this is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout this video, but to get this added on, all you're going to do is just hit that little install button just behind me there. And that's going to say install this repository in hacks. We're then just going to click on install. We'll then get a pop-up asking us to clear our browser cache, so we're just going to press reload. And we should now be good to go. With that installed, we're going to head over to our dashboard and just start making use of this card. Let's go ahead and do that now. Now in my demo build here, I've only got one dashboard, so I'm just going to go to my main overview dashboard. From here then, you can see this little blue add card button. We're going to just press on that. And then in this pop-up that appears, if we just scroll down to the bottom, we should see that new card that we've just added. And we can see that just here, the custom mini graph card. And we can just press on that one. With this custom card, there's no visual editor for this, so we are going to need to write the code for this. Now, it's not too tricky, but it will be linked in the description below. And just for reference, any bits of front end that I show off, I'm going to have the GitHub repos also linked in the description below. So you can also go to the GitHub repos to have a look at some of the examples and bits of source code there. On all of the repos, there'll be a little section that's going to tell you how you can use the card, what parameters and what features you can use to customize it further. I'm just going to paste my code in here now. And we can now see on the right here, we've got this nice little graph that's showing us the temperature of my Raspberry Pi. Hovering over the graph then, I can get some more information. So if I just hover over the line, I get little nodes which tell me the temperature of what the Pi was between set periods of time. These graphs are fully customizable, and this is just a basic configuration for a graph, but you can add more settings to it and do more tweaking. So there's more bits you can add and change with these graphs, and you can find all that information on the GitHub page for it. But if we wanted to, we could just tweak these settings here. So say if I wanted the font size bigger, I could make this 175. And you can see on the right there that that just updates and adapts to whatever I change. The name property here is optional, so if I didn't have this, it would just use the default name of whatever entity I'm displaying, which happens to be the processor temperature. I could also adjust the line width here if I wanted to, so I could make that bigger, or I could change the color of the line. It's all super customizable, and it's super easy to just change bits on the fly and just see the visualization just on the right there. And when you're done making your changes and you're happy with your final card, you can just click save there. Here's a little mock-up I've made of using the original Home Assistant cards and also the new mini graph card. With the original Home Assistant cards, I've just chosen cards that can visualize data just so you can see how they look compared to the mini graph cards. They look quite plain and there's not all that much customization you can do to them. Now that was a very simple look at the mini graph card, but there's lots that you can do with it and there's lots more different visualization styles and methods that you can use. So if you do like visualizing data on your dashboard, or maybe you just want to make use of some pretty graphs, this is definitely the good starting point for you. You can do things like having multiple lines on your charts, you can have different bar charts, you can fine grain what the different time points are on your individual graphs, so if you want more or less time between things. There's horizontal stacking, dynamic line coloring, alternate X and Y axis, and much, much more. Up next, we have the mini media player, and for all of you eager-eyed people, you've probably already spotted it on the dashboard at the beginning. Now, I actually featured a quick install of this on my Alexa text-to-speech video a couple of weeks ago, and if you are interested in the Alexa text-to-speech stuff, I'll have a link to that video in the description below. In that video, I showed you how to set up this card, and with this card, whatever you type into the text-to-speech box here, when you press that send button, it will announce it or play it on your Amazon Echoes. As you may have already seen how to set this specific card up if you watched that other tutorial, I'm going to show you something else that you can do with the mini media player card. And the mini media player card is also made by Calki. And what this one does is it allows you to create a custom media player where you can set your own controls and your own styles on how that media player will look. To get the mini media player added, it will just be a case of going back into HACS, going into your front end and then just hitting add, and then just add in that mini media player. Once you've found that, you're going to just need to hit install, and it will then install and appear at the bottom of your list, just like the mini graph card did. So on our dashboard, we're going to add another new card, and if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we'll see the custom mini media player, so we can just choose that one. Now, unlike the mini graph, the mini media player is customizable through the UI, so if you want to, you can customize it by toggling on these switches or choosing options from the drop down. In this particular example, I'm going to be doing it all with code, so I'm just going to press on the show code editor. And just like before, I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in. And you can see with this one, it's given us a custom media player, but with this media player, there's 4 additional buttons on it. With the first 2 buttons, I have them call a script whenever I click them. With this third button here, when I press that one, it's going to change the audio source, so I can have it play whatever music's playing on another speaker. And this last button here is going to do an Alexa text-to-speech notifications. So whichever speaker I choose to play the notification on will get the notification announcement from pressing that button. And just to make that a bit more readable for you, I've just put a bit of spacing in between all those buttons. So here you can see this is the last button. So that's the echo notification one. Then we've got the change audio source, a script and another script. We've also got a parameter here on whether to hide or show the volume control. So it's currently set to true, so it's going to hide it. If we set that to false, we'd then be able to see this little volume slider. And again, you can customize these however you want, it's up to you. All of that information for all of the different customization and all the different parameters you can play around with are all on the GitHub page. I'll just add another mini media player card here just to show you another example. And again, we're just going to paste this in. With this one, we can nest a bunch of different media players all together. We can also group them. So as you can see in this one here, they're grouped so they're kind of in the same block, but in the same card, if that makes sense. You can set how much information is displayed on the lines, and you can also set what controls you want to appear on there. That nested one is quite nice if you want to be able to control all of your media players in the same card. But also having those buttons, you could tie those button actions to be playing your favorite tracks or your favorite radio station or something like that. So that's 2 very quick examples for the mini media player, or 3 if you count the text-to-speech one. There's tons of different customization that you can do with it, and I would say that this one is one of my favorite ones. Next up then, we've got more of a front end feature, and this one is swipe navigation. So if we open HACS back up and go into the front end again, this time we're going to hit plus and we're going to do a search for swipe navigation. And the one that we want is this Lovelace swipe navigation, so we're just going to press that. With this one, we can see a little GIF here where you can see how the navigation is being swiped across. Now this is only going to work if you've got a mobile device, so if you access Home Assistant through a mobile, you'll be able to utilize this. If you don't make use of Home Assistant on a phone or a tablet, then this one won't be any use to you. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm on the Home Assistant app, I always want to be able to just swipe between the different tabs on my dashboards, and this is basically what this feature does. Let's go ahead and hit that install button then. And install. Do we want to reload? Yes, we do. And if we just scroll down to the bottom here, we should see our new Lovelace swipe navigation card. Once that's installed, you can just open up the Home Assistant app on your phone or tablet, and you can just start swiping through the different tabs on your dashboards. There's a few different things you can modify in the swipe navigation just by changing parts of the config. So you can do things like change the animation style. Currently there's 3 different types. You've got the swipe, fade and flip. I'll try and have those up on the screen now so you can see the difference between them all. As it states here in the documentation, the swipe animation might look a bit buggy. I've tried that on my iPhone and it does look okay, but it's not as smooth as the other 2 transitions. So have a play around with those animations, see which one you like the best. You can set things like the swipe amount, so you can adjust how much you actually need to physically swipe on your screen before it actually does the swipe transition. You can also do things like apply a wrap, so once you get to the end of scrolling, when you get to the end it just goes back to the beginning, so you can turn that on and off. So play around with it and see what you think. The swipe navigation settings are set for each individual dashboard, so you'll need to modify each dashboard to get it the way that you want. To make the modifications, you're going to need to click on the 3 dots in the top right. You then want to click on Raw Configuration Editor. And then from here, we're going to just paste in a little bit of code at the top. So just underneath the title. And this is going to be our swipe nav config. So this will be the bit of config you can play around with, and you can adjust this to get it how you want. All of those config settings are in GitHub, but those are the settings that I like when I'm using it on my iPhone. You then just need to hit save in the top right, and once you've saved that, you'll just need to refresh your phone's application for the phone to see those changes. Okay, up next we've got the swipe card, and what this one's going to allow you to do is to swipe through different cards that you've got in a set array on your dashboard. And by now you should have guessed we're adding things in by HACS, so we're going to go back into HACS and we're going to click on the little blue plus again. We're then going to just do a search for the swipe card. And I can see it there. We're just going to click on that. And we're just going to hit install this repository in HACS. As with all the front end changes, it's going to tell us it needs to refresh the browser cache. So we're just going to press reload. And we can now jump back to our main dashboard and we'll start playing around with this card. Before we start playing around with the card, a massive shout out to Bram. And if you don't know who Bram is one of the active developers of Home Assistant. So big thank you to Bram for this awesome card. Over on Bram's GitHub, which will be again linked in the description below, there's all the documentation for everything you'll need for the setting up this card. To get started with this one, we are of course going to need to be in edit mode. So to do that, we're going to just click the top 3 dots in the top right corner. We're then going to choose edit dashboard. And if we click the little blue plus in the bottom right corner here, we'll be presented with all of the different cards we can add. We're then just going to scroll down to the bottom and we should see the new card that we just added in from HACS. And we can see that here, the custom swipe card. So we're going to choose that one. With the custom swipe card, we're going to be using the custom swipe card type. Below that, we've got an array of different cards, and in here is where you're going to be adding in all the different cards that you want to display in the swipe card. I'm just going to go ahead and paste in an example I've already prepared for this. And again, this code is going to be on my GitHub, so feel free to copy and paste that from there if you wish to use it. So let's go ahead and paste that in now. And I'm just going to hit save. And I'm also just going to jump out of edit mode to make it a bit clearer to see what's going on. And as you can see, I've got these 3 different cards here. And if I drag on the cards, you can see that it kind of just swipes through them. Unlike the swipe navigation, the swipe card does work if you're on a desktop and you can just drag freely between them. But it does feel a lot more natural if you're doing this on a mobile device, as you've got better control with your own hands. With our swipe card, we're currently using an effect called cover flow. Now there are a few different effects that you can make use of, and I'll show you a quick demo of this in a second. The swiper card is built on top of swiper, so anything you can do in the swiper API you can pretty much do with the swiper card. If you're interested in playing around with the customization or having a go at the different effects and other bits that the swiper card can do, then you'll want to have a look at the swiper API. The swiper card is built on top of the swiper API, so pretty much anything you can do within the swiper API you can do in the swiper card. So if I just quickly scroll down here, you can see some of the different effects that you can use. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. There'll be a link to this in the description. On the dashboard here, I've got a couple of examples of the different effects that you can make use of. So I'll quickly show you these and then I'll quickly run through the code so you understand what's going on. This first one we've already seen. This was the cover flow. So you just kind of swipe through them and you get the cover flow effect. Next up, we've got the cube effect. And I think that one's quite self-explanatory. As you swipe through, you get a little cube effect going on. Following that, we have the flip effect. And when you swipe through, the kind of card just flips over. And the last one is just the standard swipe. Now this will be the one that you get if you don't set any effect on, and you can just swipe between all of the cards you set in your array. That's a quick example of some of the different effects that you can make use of. I think there might be a couple more in the Swiper API, but those are just the ones that I've personally used. Have a play around with them and let me know in the comments below what your favourite effect type is. With this configuration, I'm not going to run through what all of the different parameters are and what they mean, as they are explained in the GitHub, but I'm just going to point out some of the key ones which you may want to make use of. First of all is the card width. This one's going to be useful if you've got a particular size that you want the card to be. So currently I've got it set to be 200 pixels here, but if you wanted a bigger card, you could step this up to say 400. And you can see as I've changed that in the little preview to the right here, that card has just got bigger. Following on from card width, we've got the start card. So the start card is going to automatically be selected whenever the page reloads. And in my example, it's set as card 2, and for this, it would be the processor temp, as that's card 2. Next up, we've got the effect, and again, I quickly covered this one, so this will be the line you change here when you want to change the effect to say cube or flip. This whole kind of top section is going to be where you actually edit the physical properties and parameters of the card itself. So that's going to be the style and design of how the card moves around and what transitions and effects it has. Again, that's all talked about in the GitHub, so if you're interested in doing some fancy things, then check out GitHub and also check out the Swiper API because there's lots of cool things listed in there that you can make use of in this card. I've just added a bit of spacing in here just to make it a bit clearer, but with the cards you just add in all the different individual cards that you want to display in your swipe card. So in my example, I'm actually making use of the mini graph card that we looked at earlier on. So you can add any card in, all you need to do is just give it the type and then you can customize those properties depending on whichever card you add in. And that's the swipe card. Okay, and on to our last one then, and our last card is going to be the banner card. So again, back in HACS, back in the front end, we're just going to hit add and we're going to just do a search for banner. And we can see banner there, so we're just going to click it and we're going to hit install this repo in HACS and install. And for the last time in this video, we're just going to hit reload. The banner card was created by Raymond Julin, so again, thank you very much Raymond for this awesome card. And what the banner card allows you to do is to create these nice compact little cards that have got lots of information on and they're just really easy to read. You can see a couple of different examples here, and again, this is going to be linked in the description below, and all of the different configuration options are all available on Raymond's GitHub. So back on our Home Assistant dashboard, let's go ahead and get this last card added in. And again, we're just going to click on those three dots to go into edit mode. We're then just going to hit edit dashboard, add a card. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we should see our new card. You can also just do a search for it. We can see banner card here, so we're going to choose banner card. And as with the previous ones, I've got some example code, which again will be in my GitHub, so check out the description below if you want the link for that. And we're just going to go ahead and paste that in. And there we have our first banner card. So I'll quickly just run through some of the code and how it works. So a banner card is kind of broken up into a couple of different sections. So the top section is known as the heading, and here is where you have your kind of title for your banner. Just below that you've got your main body, and this main body is broken up into different rows and columns. So there can be 3 different columns at any point on your banner card. And in my example here, you can see that I've got one row with 3 different columns. An important thing to note is that some entities have different column sizes, so some of them will take up 2 columns and some of them will take up all 3. You can see here that these singular entities just take up 1, which looks nice and neat, but some entities such as the media player will take up the whole 3 column width. With the banner card, you can customize lots of different aspects of this, so you can change the way that the data is represented in the different columns, you can customize the backgrounds, you can customize the heading. You can also have the heading linked to somewhere, so when you click on the heading, it can take you to another section of your Home Assistant dashboard. You set this by giving it the link parameter, and then you give it the location of where it's going to go to when you press on the heading. So in my example here, when I press on this heading, it's going to take me to my banner card dashboard. With the heading, you can also set a background. You can do this by using hex colors. This is a really basic banner card config, but if you're looking to play around with the banner card, it's a great place to start. So have a play around with it and see what you can come up with. Let's exit out of edit mode, and we're just going to click on our banner card. So as we hover over it, we notice we get the little pointer cursor to tell us it's a clickable link. And if we click it, it should take us to the link location that we gave it in the config. And indeed it has. Mine's taken me to my banner card section at the top here. We'll just quickly jump into edit mode and we'll go through some of the different configurations for these banner cards. We'll start off with this first one then. So you can have an actual image as the background for your banner card if you want to. To set an image background, it's just a simple case of giving it a URL. So you can use any URL you want as long as it points at an image. You can also use local ones if you've got local images on your Home Assistant instance that you want to make use of. So set the URL and just pass it into the parameter. Next up, we've got different colors. So as I said before, you can color it with hex colors, and all you do here is just change the different hex color in the background. You don't have to use hex, you can use any of the different HTML color options. So head over to a website that's got a HTML color picker. We're here on W3 Schools, and you can make use of either the hex code, the RGB code, or the HSL code. Then just simply select a color that you want, and then just choose one of the 3 different codes and then use that code in your background. And then just hit save. You can go into more details with your banner theming. You can change the different fonts available, you can change the font size and also the font color. And again, all that info is available on GitHub. Another nice thing you can add to your headings is emojis. So you can either use the Unicode values for the emojis, or if you just head over to the emoji website, you can just find an emoji you want. We then just need to find a banner that we want to add the emoji to. So let's take this one here. So we'll click edit. This one does already have a material design icon, so we'll just remove that. And then we're just going to paste in that emoji that we've got in our clipboard. And just hit save. If you do ever go back into the configuration for that banner card, you'll notice that the emoji will have been converted into Unicode automatically. Just on the right here, we've got an example where I've got multiple different rows, just to show you that it is possible. And with those rows, it's just a case of just keep adding in lots of different entities. And then finally, in this other example here, I've got a couple of different entities added in. So we can see here, I've got a switch and I've got the state of the light, and we can access this switch from in the banner card. So we can toggle this light on and off. And we can see that the actual sensor for it also updates when the toggle changes. And just below those, we've got the media player, and you can see that that's taken up all 3 of the columns. So let's have a quick look at that config then. So in here, we can see we've got these extra entities. We've got the entity for the switch and the entity for the light on. So this first one, we have to specify what domain it is. So we're telling this that it's domain switch, which gives us the little toggle. And the other one, we're using the domain binary sensor. So rather than giving us a little toggle, it's just going to give us the state. So we can't actually click on this one. It's just going to tell us if it's off or on. And that can be really useful if you want to display information just as a glance rather than having it as a switch or something else. And then just on the bottom here, we're making use of a media player. So I've just got my downstairs echo, and I can see it's got the title of the last song that was played there and a couple of different media controls. With all of these entities, if you click on the name of the entity, it will give you more information about it. So if you click on the processor temperature here, it's going to give us the actual entity, and it's also going to give us the history. And that goes for everything. So if I click on downstairs music, I'm going to get the pop-up from the Echo and get all the details about the Echo and also the history tab there as well, just like you would with clicking on any entity in Home Assistant. And that's a quick look at the banner card. So I tried to keep it quite simple, but give you enough information to be able to experiment and play with the different styles. Hopefully it was helpful and also simple, but if you do want any more information about the banner card or any more examples, then be sure to check out the banner card GitHub page. And there we go guys, that's been 5 different front-end things that you can add to your Home Assistant using HACS. Those 5 are all ones that I like to make use of in my setups. Let me know in the comments below any cards or entities or anything like that you like to make use of in your Home Assistant. I hope that by watching this you now have a better understanding of how you can go into HACS, find something in the front end that you want and then get that added into your own Home Assistant. If you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, don't forget to drop me a like rating. And if you're not already, if you hit that subscribe button and ding dong the notification bell, you'll be alerted to any future video that I do. A massive thank you to these awesome people who are my Patreons. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. If you're interested in joining these awesome dudes and supporting my channel, there'll be a link in the description below where you can go ahead and check out my Patreon. If you're interested in what I do, or maybe you want a behind the scenes or a sneak peek at some upcoming content, then be sure to catch me on the social medias. They're also linked in the description below. As always, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.